I just want to share this because this is a perfect example of using ChatGPT for something that actually matters, something important, and how it will lie to you, okay? And this is, I don't know, this just really bothered me. I use ChatGPT all the time for many, many things, not without double checking everything. And I'm going to show you exactly why here. So yesterday I was curious about what happened in Minneapolis with the shooting there. I downloaded the video that I saw on YouTube and clipped a 17-second piece of it and then uploaded it here into ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT, please provide a detailed analysis of the events in this video, okay? So yeah, not a very detailed prompt. Nonetheless, here we go. ChatGPT tells me it happened in this video. I'll walk through what the video shows step by step, sticking closely to what is visible on the screen and noting where interpretation begins. Just describing the sequence and observable dynamics. The video opens on a snowy residential street in Minneapolis. It appears to be winter conditions, packed snow, icy roadway, and visible exhaust from idling vehicles. Several law enforcement officers are present. A dark-colored SUV, the vehicle later involved in the shooting, is stopped in the roadway. Another SUV is positioned ahead of it, partially blocking forward movement. Two officers are visible outside the vehicles wearing tactical-style outerwear and appear to be coordinating movement toward the driver's side of the dark SUV. Tactical-style outerwear, they don't look like officers to me, frankly, but one officer approaches from the left side frame, another follows slightly behind. Their posture suggests a high-risk stop, arms raised, weapons drawn, bodies angled, and space maintained between officers. I did not see weapons there. These officers approaching the vehicle from this side did not appear to have weapons drawn. As the officers close distance, the dark SUV remains running, exhaust is visible, and the vehicle appears to be in gear or capable of moving. The officers advance cautiously, one angling toward the driver's door. The street surface is slick, and both officers move carefully but quickly. The critical movement occurs as the officers reach the driver's side area. The SUV begins to move forward. Motion is slow. Clearly intentional. Its front end advances past the officer nearest the door. One officer is positioned very close to the driver's side near the front quarter panel. As the vehicle moves, the officer appears to be at risk of being struck or dragged. At this point, the officer fires multiple shots towards the driver's side area. The shots occur rapidly within a very short time window as the vehicle continues moving forward. The muzzle direction and timing suggests the shots are fired while the officer is reacting to the vehicle's movements rather than after it has fully passed. Now, here's the thing. This officer over here isn't the one who shot this person, right? This officer did not shoot anybody. It's the one who stepped in front, right? And so it doesn't even mention this third officer who actually did the shooting at all. That's not even in here. And so it even gets worse, though. Immediately after the shots, the SUV rolls a short distance forward and then comes to a stop, and then it gives me all this description about what happened after the shots, which I did not even... The video doesn't even show that. We only have 19 seconds of the video, so it's about 3 seconds after the shots that this video shows, and ChatGPT is basically just making this all up here at this point. The officers open the driver's side door and begin assessing the driver. The posture and urgency indicate the driver has been incapacitated. The officer's movements shift from confrontation to control and assessment. No further shots are fired. In the aftermath, the officers remain alert but less aggressive in stance, suggesting the immediate threat has ended. One officer stands back scanning the area while another remains at the open driver's door. The scene stabilizes with no visible attempt by the driver to exit or move. From what is visible, the central factor in the encounter are the close proximity of the officer to the moving vehicle and the decision by the driver to accelerate while an officer was alongside the driver's door. The shooting occurs during that last moment of movement, not after the vehicle has cleared the officer, which just, it wasn't the officer alongside the vehicle in the first place that did the shooting or that would have been in danger of being hit by the moving vehicle at all. So, I mean, this is just completely wrong. The video depicts a high-risk stop that rapidly accelerates when the driver attempts to move the vehicle while officers are within arm's length. The fatal shots are fired during that movement in a narrow window where the officer appears to be reacting to an immediate perceived danger from the vehicle itself. Oh, it just doesn't mention the third officer. So I asked it, okay, none of this happens in the video. Why are you saying it did? And then I put what here didn't happen. And here's the response. You're right to call this out. Thank you for doing so. I overstated what the video shows, and that's on me. You uploaded 19 seconds in that clip. None of the post-shooting actions I described are visible. I mistakenly carried the analysis beyond the actual footage and described events that are not present in the video you shared. Let's reset and do this properly. Here's a strict time-bound analysis of what is actually visible in the 19-second clip only, with no extrapolation beyond the final frame. Okay. And now it tells me the clip opens already mid-incident. We see a dark SUV stopped on a snow-covered road. At least one law enforcement officer is positioned very close to the driver's door of the vehicle. Even though this isn't, it's just not. So if you're using ChatGPT to have it summarize what is in this 19-second video clip, well, you have to already know what's in the clip. If you already know what's in it, and you can try again when it lies to you, okay? Because that's what I did here ultimately. Okay, so this is all the lies ChatGPT told me in the first summary, right? So just a note for anybody, I'm using ChatGPT 5.2 for the record. It's just so I ask it here, what about the third officer who steps in front of the vehicle and draws his weapon? Good question. The third officer matters, and he is visible in the 19-second clip, so we can talk about him without drifting beyond the footage. Here's what can be said, staying grounded to what's on screen. As the SUV begins moving forward, a third officer enters the frame from the front of the vehicle. He steps into the vehicle path rather than remaining off to the side. His movement is quick and reactive, not staged or deliberate. Almost immediately upon stepping in front of the SUV, he draws his firearm and points it at the driver. A few things are worth noticing about that movement. First, his position is directly in front of the moving vehicle. That puts him in even more immediately vulnerable spot than the officer alongside the driver's door. From a purely physical standpoint, this officer is now facing the possibility of being struck head-on if the vehicle continues forward. Right, because he put himself there. Second, the timing matters. He draws his weapon after the vehicle's already started moving. I don't know. I would argue it didn't look like that to me, but at least this is including the fact that the third officer exists now, right? Okay, after I pointed out. So, yeah. And then still here, I mean, this is debatable what his weapon. He does not fire during the clip. That's important. The officer alongside the driver fires while the vehicle is moving. The officer in front raises his weapon, but the clip ends before any further action from him occurs. What this adds to the overall picture is escalation density. In a very short span of time, you now have one officer alongside the vehicle, a second reacting from near that position, and a third officer stepping directly into the vehicle's path with a drawn weapon. The clustering increases risk for everyone involved, officers included. Vehicles are uniquely dangerous in these situations because they compress time and decision-making. Or moves, officers have fractions of a second to decide whether it's a means of escape or a weapon. I mean, he all he had to do was move out of the way. The third officer's action reinforces that officers perceive the moving vehicle as a immediate lethal threat, not merely in compliance. And it really doesn't show that. I'm sorry. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. You don't have to shoot somebody in that type of situation. I don't know if law enforcement training is training law enforcement officers that they need to immediately pull their weapon instead of moving out of the way. Like, it's like if there's an easier way to not get hit without murdering people, maybe do that, and if that easier way is just stepping aside, then that would be the better choice, I would think. And that would be the natural choice, would be to jump out of the way, not just stand there and shoot. Like, that's so bizarre to me that okay. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I don't know. I haven't been in the situation, so I can't tell you. But I can tell you I have been in a vehicle stopped by law enforcement, and if I were in the situation that woman was in, I mean, there seemed to be a lot going on, a lot to look at. from her position, and it could have been something as simple as her intending to put her foot on the brake, maybe to put it in park, and hitting the gas instead, because in a situation like that where you're flustered, that is so, I've done it in my driveway, not even flustered, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, I don't know, this whole thing's very sad. But here I'm just talking about the ChatGPT and the fact that it straight up made up an entire story about what is in this video. Of course, we already knew that ChatGPT and other LLMs will hallucinate and make things up, but the concern I have here with this is it's a little bit different here, because I uploaded a video and asked it to just summarize the video, what is in the video. I didn't ask it to go out to the internet and tell me what everybody's saying about this incident, and so the fact that it's making up this specific story, because this specific story sounds to me a lot like, the narrative that the powers that be might want everybody to accept. It just seems like this story, like why is ChatGPT giving me this particular story here? I know it makes things up. I know that it makes things up that seem reasonable, and this does seem reasonable, even though it's not what happened. I don't know. It just seems like, especially because of, the fact that right now we have our current administration is, and OpenAI are pretty chummy, I would say, right? They definitely, their interest, the interest of one is in the interest of the other, and maybe not necessarily in the interest of the public, right? So that's the reason for my unease with this right now, along with the fact that, ChatGPT is explicitly stating several times, I don't know how many times, 3 or 4 different times, where ChatGPT is telling me that it is only looking at the visible footage. Why is it so insistent about stating that these things are visible in the video when they are not in the video at all? Just something to think about. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with y'all, because don't just take ChatGPT at its word for what's going on in anything that you're trying to understand. Okay, that's it.